Do you want to get featured on major media outlets around the world? Are you struggling to land even one publication for your business in the news? If so, you are in the right place. Today, we have a guest who knows exactly how to turn those dreams into reality. Mitch Carson is a celebrated professional speaker, author, and media strategist who has spoken on stages in 63 countries and produced over 2,000 live events across 19 nations. He's not just an expert in the art of speaking, but a master at getting noticed and selling anything to anyone. I'm your host, Ash, and this is a show where I interview proven founders and industry experts who share their stories, strategies, and insights to help you build, launch, and grow your business. I hope you enjoy our show with Mitch. Mitch, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me, and it's a privilege to be here, Ash.
Great. Do you have a favorite quote, something that inspires or motivates you that you would like to share with our audience?
My favorite quote is, "You miss 100% of the shots you never take." And that was a quote from Wayne Gretzky, who was a hockey great. They may not know who he is in the UK, but in the North America, he's well known. And I love that. You must swing the bat. Let's say cricket. You must swing the bat to hit the ball. You
Indeed.
must kick the ball in order for it to go in the goal. Too many people get stuck in analysis paralysis and don't take decisive, obvious action in order to create a result. Take a risk, then you can welcome the reward.
Indeed, indeed. As my grandfather used to say that if you don't, so he used to work for government, but he also had a store for salt. In villages where they used to sell salts those days. So he used to say, if you don't go out with a bag of salt, that means you are not eating tonight. Similar. Similar. So yeah, old village days. Great. So tell us about Get Interviewed Guaranteed. What is the service is about, and what's the main problem you're helping to solve for people?
People need media on a regular basis. They need publicity on a regular basis. People ask me, clients who go through my 2-day media experience here in Las Vegas, where I guarantee them to get covered on 4 network television shows in just 2 days. What's next? What do I do next? I say you lather, rinse, and repeat. You continue. You wash your hair every day. You brush your teeth every day in order to maintain your hygiene so you don't offend people in the room. So you garner more attention by having clean teeth, clean body, clean hair. Same goes for your business. Brush it up, buddy. You've now created a nice, cleanly pressed suit, exposing you to the marketplace. And after they've gone through the media, well, do I have to do this again? Do I have to continue to write articles in the big publication? Do I still have to get out there and speak on stages? Can I just sit back, scratch, and watch Netflix, and then all the profits are going to come in, on auto magic pilot? No. It doesn't work that way. The 4-Hour Work Week is a greatly marketed book. The reality is not real. You can't work 4 hours a week. I haven't met any professional in my years of business, 40 plus years on the platform, that works 4 hours a week. Tim Ferriss's book, he's a brilliant marketer, but his message is absolutely inaccurate. You can't, I mean, it's only a hook, 4-Hour Work Week. It's a great hook, but it's not reality. You must be organized and plan and execute. The idea is plan, execute, evaluate. Plan, execute, evaluate. P. Yep. That's a P. Ooh, just came up with that. P. Plan, execute, evaluate.
Yeah. So let's talk about where the story begins. Your career, which has taken you to stages in 63 countries and over 2,000 live events. So I'm like, what motivated you to pursue a career as a professional speaker, and how did you get started?
41 years ago, my parents died 5 weeks apart. I was 22 years old. So now you know. Yeah, so it happened. I just turned 64 yesterday. And what happened changed my life. As an only child, my world was turned upside down for obvious reasons. and I was super introverted and quiet and had to regroup. What I found were drugs and alcohol to help with that pain, that deep
Mm.
emotional pain, that sense of loss. How did I manage what I was going through? I was in a state of shock. A year later, July 1st, 1984, I decided to live. I decided to change my life for the better.
Mm.
It's not an imperfect ride, but it's a better ride than I would have been had I allowed myself to go and knock on death's door and eventually perish. I then decided to live. I decided to embrace love from other people. I decided to turn my life around and walk a positive path in this existence because it's over in a snapshot. As I mentioned, I just turned 64 yesterday. How I got from there to here has been great. Has it been straight? No, it's not a straight path. It's
Mm.
filled. Imagine you're on a yacht. You chart a course. You're going from Dover, Delaware, over to the coast of the Hook of Holland, which I think are the two ports over in the British Isles there, where you may chart a course in this beautiful yacht that you've acquired because of your success. Will it be a straight line between here and there? No. If you look at any chart plans of any good sailor, it sometimes goes off course. Why? Because gales come in,
Mm.
hurricanes happen, things happen along this journey called life, and it may take 40 years. I can look at my 40-year journey from where I was at that age to where I am today, from when I
Mm.
decided July 1st, 1984 to stop drinking and using to where I am today, and it has been a great journey. I've arrived today at the Hook of Holland, from where I am to Ash's podcast on business community on oddcircles.com. So I'm here
Yeah.
today along this journey. And it was when I experienced all these weather circumstances, it's gotten me to where I am. And it's been full of delight, full of experiences, many quotes. I love how you incorporate the quote component in right at the gate. And we
Mm-hmm.
along these experiences. So that's been my journey.
Yeah, it's quite a lot you have to done by yourself, and then obviously most of the people I interview as guests on my show, they're either there's like a trigger in their life which changed their life, or there's something in their childhood or something in their adulthood where they found this epiphany, and then
Yes.
that triggers the change. So before we go to the next one, I would like to ask you, you've been described as a master at selling anything
Yes.
and crafting unique messages. Can you share some of the key principles you follow when you create these compelling pitches?
A couple things I'll go over is in order to sell, from how I really learned to sell and craft a message, there are templates that I followed, and I just inserted features into the template and benefits into the template. For example, let's talk about a red 400 horsepower Ferrari.
Mm-hmm.
Those are features that I just mentioned. The feature is it's red, it's 400 horsepower, and it's a Ferrari. Here are the benefits of owning and driving a red 400 horsepower Ferrari. I didn't say Mazda. I didn't say Toyota or Honda. I said Ferrari. That signifies something in the mind and triggers in the mind of the consumer that is very different than a Honda. It's a
Mm-hmm.
different evaluation and perception. The benefits of driving a Ferrari can vary based on the audience.
Mm.
For some, a red Ferrari with 400 horsepower is bleach blonde with an awesome figure that's sitting in the front seat next to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hot gal that everybody's going to be the envy of me because I have this red 400 horsepower. That's one benefit. Another is the experience of believing and knowing you've arrived and you're successful.
Yeah.
There's no greater feeling than the rumble of sitting in a Ferrari and that Italian engine kicking off when you turn over the key or push the button today. I owned a Maserati years ago, still owned by Ferrari. They were same company. And how I felt when I drove that car, I bought it when I was 42 years old. I had been very successful at that point, and I wanted to prove it to myself. This was validation. I no longer own it, and that's not my value anymore. I drive an electric car called the Nissan Volt. I don't care about that today. But going back 20 years ago, it was important to me. And I wanted that car to validate what all I had worked for. So I bought based on the benefits of that car. It had 390 horsepower. It was blue. It was convertible. And I had a hot wife that sat in the car next to me. She was
there you go.
Yeah. So I had the hot Cuban wife with a very curvy body that sat next to me with the long hair, and we had the wind coming in. We loved it. That was the experience at that time. And the vroom of the engine. So that's when I am able to sell something, I'm going to ask those questions. Tell me what you do. And people will come up with an elevator pitch, and I help them work off a formula which takes their response and puts it in a template which will make people thirsty for more information or deflect them. It's just as important to deflect and deselect people who don't qualify to become a client or aren't interested in. So if I'm selling left-handed golf clubs to a right-handed golf club audience, we have a message to market mismatch.
Yeah.
So we need to work and be congruent, Ash. If I'm offering coats winter coats to people in London where you're a native of, versus I'm offering winter coats to people that live in Calcutta, I think we're going to have a product mismatch because you don't have snow in Calcutta. I'm just picking a hot city. It could be any other. Versus I'm not going to be selling too many shorts in Antarctica.
Yeah.
Pretty hard. Look at your market. Understand what they want. What problem are you solving? What is the problem that you solve with your product? And talk about the benefits. Hot chick, front seat, you're feeling great about yourself. That not focusing on it's a red Ferrari with 400 horsepower. What are the benefits? What are the huge takeaways, the emotional takeaways of the recipient of that product? You've got to convey that through advertising. So you don't even have to say anything. You can talk. Let's imagine the Ferrari ad, which you guys have in London, we have here where I live in Las Vegas. You see the red Ferrari. You see the old guy with the gray hair or no hair. He's my age or above. And he's got a personalized plate because that's also what goes with it. Is either his company or is what he's rich and proud or whatever it is. And who's he got next to him? Does he have his 65-year-old wife? Possibly. Or does he have somebody that's age inappropriate in the seat next to him who's got chemically treated hair and enhanced breasts? This plays along. Okay, I want to be like Bill, who's 75 and has got this 25-year-old in his front seat. Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe not. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, maybe not. Not everybody's there. I'm just showing what's possible. Ferrari sells that awesome potential benefit.
Yeah.
Maybe his wife of Marge of 40 years that's sitting next to him. Maybe they're people who are very religious and that was a dream to own this car and she drives it half the week and he drives it half the week. Who knows?
Who knows?
But what you have with that is what allows somebody to follow a template. Features tell, benefits sell.
Got it. And this has been one of the biggest challenge in the founders' mindset, that they majorly focus on the product features instead of benefits, and that leads to lower sales and
Big
a
time.
lot of other problems, because everything
Big
is
time.
related to the sales and everything. One of the topics we usually discuss among the founders who are either got their seed funding done, or they're getting into a shape where they're launching their product or services, that we frequently discuss, that how to get booked on major media. What are the most critical steps someone should take to secure these high profile opportunities?
All right. First thing that they're going to have to take, and I'm glad you asked that question. I'm eager to answer it because I've worked with a lot of startups who then get stuck. They don't know how to, they're great at what they do. They're brilliant. Some of these guys are super engineers or innovators. They don't know how to sell what they've created because they're too focused on it does this, this, and this, and this. They forget the important, so that you can save time, so that you make more money quickly, so that you're able to spend more on development and running your business than figuring out how to get new clients. All of this is done automatically through this AI widget, as an example, because that's the current environment. They forget the so that, which is the benefits. They talk about, hey, it's a great app that is cool, the coolest in the marketplace. It's totally awesome. Those are bullshit words. When I hear that, it's a red flag for me that they don't know about how to market.
Yeah,
Oh, it's awesome. Well, so is my dog.
Yeah,
He's
that's
awesome to
true.
me. Can you be any more vague, Buster? Get down to the, okay, my dog Buster is awesome because he doesn't bark too much. He's very low maintenance with his fur. He doesn't have dander. He's a poodle, and he's super smart and fetches his own bone when he wants to play. That's more
That's
descriptive.
yeah.
More descriptive. So I now understand and can visualize Buster, the awesome dog. Oh, tell me about your app, Ash. Oh, it's totally awesome and everybody loves it.
Yeah.
Oh, please, please, let me gag
Yeah.
myself with a spoon. Oh, that doesn't tell me anything. And then
Yeah.
as they say, right at the end of that pitch, it's totally awesome. Everybody loves it, right? No, not right. Not left either. You've told me nothing. You've just put
Nothing.
me to sleep and it's not bedtime. Let's
No.
start
Yeah.
again. So let's craft, which is something very basic. And I work on this with everybody that I train for media exposure. What is your elevator pitch? What do you do? If someone were to ask me, I have multiple elevator pitches based on who I want to sell to or interest in what I have to offer at a specific time. For me, for your audience, I help. If I were to craft an elevator pitch for your audience, which would be close to perfect, and this isn't crafted yet, if I were to just come up with it, I've done it so many times I can usually come up with something off the cuff. I help newly formed entities and startups become the most recognized and recognized app in their industry in 2 days guaranteed. Because that then leads to the next question, Ash, of they're going to lean in. I've caught their attention. I've hooked them because they want recognition.
Yeah.
They need press, they need publicity, or they're going to fail. They had the greatest idea, but they weren't wrapped properly. They weren't communicated properly, conveyed to the marketplace with their message so that people saw the benefits of buying into what they're offering to the marketplace.
Definitely, definitely. And I couldn't agree more on this one, because it's like it's one of the things which you need to understand about going. It's not just about getting into media. It is also about, even if you're pitching your idea to an investor, it is also about if you want to get more customers on your portal. It is also about convincing a co-founder to join you. It is also about getting a new brilliant employee in the company. Every single person you're talking with, you need to understand that what benefit your company, organization, product is bringing to them in order to
Correct.
they trust you, right? So couldn't agree more on this. So many of our listeners, Mitch, aspire to become international speakers. I have given some talks in few universities,
Right.
but that was just an experiment I was doing, and then I thought, okay, this is something which I have to do more later on once I'm done with my gaining more experience. What advice would you give to someone looking to break into the international speaking circuit, especially with little experience?
First of all, international exposure was a game changer for me. So
Mhm.
you're asking a great opportunity question. Here's the reality. I'm not sure what country you come from originally. May I ask where?
Yes, I do come from India.
Okay, you come from India. Okay, I didn't want to ask incorrectly. In India, and I know this because I've been to India, I've been to Pakistan, I've spoken in Bangladesh, I've spoken in 63 countries around the world. In India, they are eager to hear from people other than Indians in some cases, maybe not always, but they'll be very welcoming to even you who's lived in the UK much of your life. You're probably much more British identification today than Indian, however many years you've been there. But you have that international experience and perception of, oh gosh, he lived in the Western world. He would be well received in India because you also have the ability to speak one of the local dialects. I don't know if it's Hindi or Tamil or what have you. You can even intersperse words. So you, as a person, would be very welcomed in your birth country.
Mm.
The UK is your home country now. So you can't call that, your home country is the UK, but your birth country. Alternatively, when I spoke the first time internationally, I don't count Canada because it's so close, very close to the US, very similar. But let's say the first time I spoke outside of my country, where I had to fly over a body of water, was Australia.
Mhm.
And I crushed it. And I spoke 200 times over there. I was so well received because I have an accent,
Mhm.
because foreign is sexy. Foreign is sexy. Let me repeat that. Foreign is sexy. They're going to think you offer something true or not, that's different than a local expert in that category. If you are Ash, who's of Indian descent, now lives in the UK for X number of years, you've learned things that the local Indian population business community may not know. And I'm using
Mm.
my words carefully. Might not know. Their
Mm.
ears are going to be wide open, their cell phones are going to be closed. So if you're looking to speak outside of your country, first of all, do it. Do it. Gather the footage of you speaking overseas. Even if for you, if you were to go speak in, well, let's see, another English, Sweden, which they speak good English over there. One of these other countries that are close to you in Europe, it's a good place to start. I've spoken in London at the O2 Arena. I've spoken at a smaller event at a hotel with just 100 people. And they were very receptive to me because I wasn't even living in America then. I was living in Manila, Philippines. I flew in from Manila to London and
Mm.
spoke there. And when I spoke at the O2 Arena years before that, I flew in while I was living in Bangkok. That added to my story of being exotic,
Mm.
exotic else.
What kind of tools or techniques you use to reach out to these people who host these events or universities or places where you were speaking?
Okay.
to
here's what
introduce yourself.
people, yeah, here's what's happened in my career, which will be very dissimilar to the advice I'm going to dispense to you, because I've been uniquely fortunate, because I don't use lucky, because luck, in my opinion, is opportunity plus action. Okay. I have had many opportunities presented to me that I've either acted on or chosen to decline, which has allowed me to be able to speak in 63 countries. I was asked by promoters that were in the one country's room, who then asked me to come and speak in their country. They're hunting for speakers. First of all, you've got to gain decent exposure in your home country before you venture out. My suggestion: have good video footage, proof of you being a speaker. And where do you show that proof? LinkedIn and YouTube, for starters. Based on the audience that you are attempting to convey your message to, might be Instagram, might be. If you're young and you've got a nice body and want to shake your butt, maybe TikTok. I don't TikTok because I don't have a nice butt and I can't dance. I'm not going to do it. So I use LinkedIn and YouTube as my primary sources to verify, to confirm that I am in fact an expert. You will get Googled. Google is no longer a noun, it's a verb. You will get Googled in life, whether it's you're going on a date, or you're getting interviewed, or getting background checked by an event producer / booker agent, or meeting planner, or speaking bureau. Now, I was asked this question speaking in Singapore. What did I do? Then the 3 biggest speaking bureaus in Hong Kong, Shanghai, and Singapore were in attendance. 3 women were on a panel. They got asked, what do they look for before hiring an international speaker? Because they were interested. Number 1, video. They all said YouTube presence, so they can verify that you are in fact a good speaker. What video footage do you have? Do you have a clearly laid out one sheet, which exposes where you've been? Do you have a fully developed LinkedIn with proof, with recommendations, with comments from people that you've served? They will background check you. Do you have misspellings on your LinkedIn? Your grammar in check? Are you regularly there? All of this matters tremendously. Is your packaging secure? Are you packaged in a Tiffany box, or are you packaged in a paper bag? If you look like a paper bag, expect paper bag pay.
Yeah.
If you are packaged as though you are in a Tiffany box and you are a gem that exists inside, wonderful. Guess how much money you're going to get? More than the person that's in the paper bag.
Exactly.
So that's what's important, is first take care of where you are. Then I would look up meetings that are available. We have the beauty of the internet today, Ash. Meetings that are happening in a city that you target and want to speak at. But you have to have your own house in order first. Do a brand check, evaluation, and have someone who's willing to be honest with you about your personal brand. And don't ask your mom, because you know, honey, you're so cute and nice and wonderful. She's not going to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
She's going to tell you what you not need to hear. She'll be loving and sweet, but that isn't an accurate evaluation. Be with somebody who's willing to tell you the truth. Learn from it. Pain causes change.
Indeed. And I think navigating towards your journey, I learned that you have published books in 6 languages, which was a wow effect for me, because you can speak multiple languages, but publishing books in 6 languages is amazing, right? That's next level for me. But then on top of it, you publish them on a renowned publication platforms. It's not like self-publishing or something like that. So I want to uncover the strategies you have used to do that, because first of all, writing a book is a big deal. Writing in 6 languages, even bigger. Writing for big publishers is like top level thing. How did you do that? How did you reach out to them? What strategies you used, and how did you publish it so successfully?
Okay, let me grab an example.
Yeah.
Okay. My first book, which is only in English, is this one, Creating Customers for Life, 27,000 words. It was a business card. It has no ISBN number because I never uploaded it. Self-pub. It was a business card. Fancy way of presenting this to people. Well written, perfectly written, no mistakes. And I used it as a business card. My next book, which was published by John Wiley and Sons, was a bestseller in its category. Sold 11,000 copies in the US, 5,000 because it did well in the US, and it got picked up by Ingram, which has worldwide distribution. It was then published in German, covered in German. And because I then went into German, I showed this to one of my students when I was speaking in Malaysia. And I had just written a recent book on a mindset. He then wrote it and translated that book and put both of our names on it in Malay, which is the language of Malaysia. Also Indonesia, very closely, they call it Bahasa language, but it's in the Bahasa language is the same in Indonesia, which is a huge country, 260 million people, right after the US in terms of population. And that's their language. So it was covered. And then I had another book that I co-authored with a Japanese person. It was then on sales. It was then translated into Japanese. It causes what I refer to, Ash, as the snowball effect. Once you become a one-book author, 2 is easier, not easy, easier. Then it gets seemingly easy when you start with 3rd, 4th, 5th book. I've written many, many books as giveaways, which I never published because that way the value was higher than my book. This has a price tag. Where's the price tag on this? Let me see. Oh, $24.95 American dollars is what's tapped right here on the inside cover, which it sold for still today. It's still up. I've got about 25, 26 reviews on Amazon for that book. And that was published through John Wiley and Sons, the biggest business book publisher in North America. Or actually in the world, I think it is, because of their affiliates. But it was valuable to do that. Huge credibility that I was published. Now I'm gone the self-published route. I've got a speaking book coming out very soon, probably the next week, that will be uploaded. And I'll push it to bestseller status, which will then be used as a lead magnet / book funnel to get people into my speaking trainings. I use books for business. I don't care about the status so much. I care about what they do for me. And it also guarantees me more speaking gigs than a speaker who doesn't have a book. It's a big business card. So to get overseas for international gigs, write a book. Make sense?
Yeah, indeed, it does. And branding yourself is so important nowadays with social media and everything, is that it's easy. People can access the information on internet. They can look for your name, and then they can find like, okay, this person is not that influential, what he is trying to say. Or if this person, he doesn't even talk, but he has so many contacts and he is at the top of his career, right? And for those, so I'm just getting a step back in our conversation, because this is the question which I've been asked multiple times during our live sessions on LinkedIn. For those who's looking to get featured in these major media outlets, what are some best strategies for getting noticed by the journalists and media professionals?
Okay, number 1, write a book. Easiest Fastest way, because you're unique. Simply, you have a unique thumbprint. We all do. Every human that's lived on the planet, your book is unique to you. You have your own unique ISBN number on the back. That's you. You're unique. Number one, that's the easiest path to get featured. Number two is what is called newsjacking. It's a term used where you're piggybacking on what's trending and new. An example would be writing or talking about with your opinion about what's going on with the US elections right now. This is the most hotly contested election in my lifetime. What's happening right now? This will be a pivot point for the world, because being the largest economy in the world, it matters who gets elected.
Yeah.
And you can talk about that as a Brit, as an Irishman, as a French person, what's going to happen in the US election based on these predictions. And you make shit up. And you use that because that's totally newsworthy right now. After the election, your pitch will go in the trash. We have a debate coming up between the two candidates. If you write something, predictions about the debate, or if you write something about what happened during the debate, it's newsworthy. It's piggybacking on the current news. It's got to be current. This has a life cycle, and it's quick. It's up and down. A longer life cycle for you to write about or submit your idea or twist and hook to the media, either television or print, anything AI. How do you wrap AI around your product or service and make it interesting so the recipient of your submission is interested?
Yeah, got it.
Interesting, be interesting so they're interested.
Got it. Okay, great. So what role, so I've learned this, that you need to have some kind of media kit. So what role does a well-crafted media kit play in getting booked on a major media platform? And what are the essential elements that should be included in the media kit?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. It totally applies to what I'm doing now for my clients of book authors that I'm taking through the writing process and then the uploading and the bestseller process. I'm creating one sheets for all of the authors with my staff. The following elements are, and why is that essential? Because then you get booked on podcasts with that one sheet. I think you looked at my one sheet before you booked me on yours. What are the elements? Number one, a clear takeaway elevator pitch, what your viewers will benefit from based on your guest appearance. They're not doing this because they like you. They're doing it, number one, because they want to save their job. Number one. They're there to save their job, to continue their paycheck. So they aren't careful about anything except their job. Number one. Okay. Now understand that precedes the actual benefit that you bring to the table, to the marketplace. Will they get another paycheck in 2 weeks or not? Okay. That's their number one concern. Number two, will you not embarrass them based on your submission, either your TV appearance or your content? Remember, save their job, avoid embarrassment, because people live for seeking pleasure and avoiding pain. The pain is embarrassment. And number three, which should be number one, but it's not, what kind of value are you going to provide to the audience? What kind of value are you going to provide? And then will that benefit the person that books you to get the back slap of good job, Ash, in booking Mitch on your podcast? He brought tremendous value. I'm going to recommend more people to your podcast because you brought in a guy that really provided value. That's what you want to hear by booking me. That's what guests want to get feedback for you getting booked on their podcast, for you getting booked on and writing an article for Forbes UK. Yeah. I think you guys have a version there, don't you? Forbes UK. Okay. In order to get your submission accepted, is his job going to be secure tomorrow? If it's a guy taking in your input, are you going to save him embarrassment based on the topic because he wants to avoid pain? These are all human emotions that may or may not be consciously thought about. And number three, will you provide value to the readers of that article? That's the real order of how it works. It's not the reverse, because they think about themselves first. And it took me a while to comprehend, realize, and accept that reality.
You have to get things ready for the people who are planning to get you into the media, so that their workload is reduced. You don't embarrass them when they get you on board, and you have to be ready, genuine, and all those sort of things, so that they
Build
cannot
a relationship and have a relationship. Comment on previous articles that they editorialized or they were the contributor. If they're going to write an article on your behalf because they've got the in or they're an employee in, comment. Get a response on the blog where the article was posted in the comment section. Hey, Bill, loved your article about AI and how it applies to sales in the marketplace. I'm a salesperson of 20 years who's sold in high tech, and this totally applies and benefits me. Thank you. Keep them coming.
Yeah.
You think Bill is going to respond to that?
Definitely.
Of course he will. You just complimented him. His boss sees your comments. Oh, Bill's doing a good job. Because remember, let's go back to step one. He's saving his employment and his paycheck. Did you help or hinder his paycheck for the next 2 weeks? You helped it. So when you submit something to him, hey, Bill, take a screenshot of his response to your comment of, hey, I really appreciate your comment about my article on AI and in the sales place, and I look forward to future comments. Holy shit. He just opened the door for you to comment further, and now it's time for you to ask.
Yeah.
Don't ask before you give.
Yes, definitely. You always, you give 10x more value before even asking for one.
Correct. Do that 1 or 2 times, then your article submission with the attached screenshots, this is who I am, because they get so many submissions, is going to have much more traction than one that doesn't. Will it guarantee? No, I'm not saying that, but your chances improve. What's the guarantee in life? Death and taxes.
That is guaranteed.
Those are the guarantees. Those are the guarantees in life. Everything else is based on your willingness to work for it. And be accountable for your results. Okay?
Definitely. I'm enjoying this conversation so much, Mitch, that I want to keep continuing, but like we are limited of time.
Sure.
But before we go into our 6 quick fire question round, I would like to ask you a personal question, if you don't mind. Throughout your journey, throughout your vast experience, there must have been some valuable lessons learned. And if you don't mind sharing, could you reflect on your experience and tell us about one mistake or a setback that you encountered along the way that you now consider maybe not a regret, it's a lesson learned for you? And what advice would you give our listener based on this experience?
Okay, I can give so many, but I'll just pick one that I shared about recently because I'd forgotten and then it resurfaced. I was speaking in Jakarta, Indonesia, to an audience of about 300 people. I was doing about 4 sessions to 4 different groups. The very first session I came out, I'd never spoken in Indonesia. And this is about 8 years ago, I think, approximately. I was living in Bangkok, so I flew over, got booked for this event, and I was selling to the stage. I liked selling versus keynoting. Had my spot, 15 minutes into it, had this audience laughing. It was my first time speaking to a group there, and I made the ultimate blunder. Not the ultimate, let's just say a big blunder coming from an American. There's a difference between them and me. What their feelings are about the politics that exist in America being the bullies of the West is true in the minds of the consumers that are there. I'm there to sell them. I need to bridge that gap for whatever how it exists. I wasn't coming from New Zealand, which very few people have an opinion on, except the Lord of the Rings was there and they got a lot of sheep. Okay. Other than that, they aren't necessarily important on the geopolitical scale that America is and how relevant it is. And the same would happen for a person coming from the UK because we're so aligned as allies. So I'm there and I made the comment. Now, most of the people in Indonesia are Muslim. 98% of the country is Muslim. I made a statement, or I asked a question to interact with the crowd, which I ask a lot of questions in my speaking, which is a very effective strategy most of the time. I asked, guys, I moved to Asia. It was part of my story to connect. I moved to Asia after going through a very challenging divorce with my then lawyer wife, which created a little bit of a chuckle because I said, I'm really smart. I married my lawyer until she unmarried me. That created a little bit of a chuckle in the crowd. So I had the connection. So I said, how many of you have experienced a divorce in the group?
Oh my God.
Yes. I was looking for a further connection, Ash, which could have worked in the UK, depending on the audience, could have worked in the UK or in America or any country in Europe.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what the stat is in the UK, but in America, about 60% of us have gone through a divorce, at least one. Some are even more. And it's no big deal here. It just happens. It's a bummer. It's expensive, unfortunate, but you recover and you move on. It's not shunned in society for the most part. In some religious groups, it might be, but they aren't my market and it doesn't matter. I don't communicate with that market of people where I would be shunned. I don't care. It's not applicable. But my market, who were all these Indonesians, heard this, and I could have heard a pin drop. Boy, was that a blunder. So here's my message. Here's my lesson. Know your audience before you open your mouth.
Yeah, definitely. And I second to that. Yeah, always.
You laughed when I told the story because you realized, oh my gosh, you were there experiencing it through me of how much of a mistake that was. I wasn't consciously aware of my audience. After I said it based on their reaction or lack of reaction better, I realized I made a mistake. Know your audience.
Yeah. Great. Okay, so we should wrap up now. We are going to get into our lightning round. I've got 6 quick fire questions for you, so you can answer them as quickly as possible. You ready?
I'm ready.
Perfect. What are the top 3 strategies to generate more leads to get into media in 2024?
To get into media in 2024, leads or strategies?
Top 3 strategies to generate leads to get into media.
Okay. From media. Have a call to action at the end of your session or interview. Have a way to get in touch with you. And number 3 would be leave them unfulfilled, meaning they want more information.
Want more information. Yeah, I like that. What book would you recommend to our audience and why?
Oh gosh, the best book, I would say there are 5 books that are on my bookshelf that are tireless, timeless reads. And Think and Grow Rich would be one by Napoleon Hill. I reference that a lot. It changed my perspective and I use it a lot in my presenting. So Think and Grow Rich.
Got it. What's one attribute or characteristic in your mind of a successful founder?
Congruent. Message is very defined and the company is congruent through all parts.
I'm not lying. I'm being 100% honest. I've never heard this before with any other guest. This is the first time. Mostly it's like, grit, perception, honesty, things like that. This is the first time I've heard this word. So thanks for that. What's your favorite personal productivity tool or habit?
I set up daily rituals for myself, a variety of them. I make my bed every day. And I also meditate every morning for 5 minutes and 5 minutes before I go to sleep. I attribute that largely, and that is one of the keys to my personal success.
Got it. What's a new or a crazy business idea you would love to pursue if you had time?
Crazy business. Oh, that's a good question. I got to think. One would be crazy. Dance on TikTok and see what kind of response I get. The ridiculousness of it, of a 64-year-old man,
Yeah.
and shaking my butt, and see if the humor of it could garner a viral video.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that would be a real stretch, and I would even be. I'm so corny and stupid, Ash. I might even do something like that. That's a good. I'm going to do that. Dance on TikTok and see what happens.
Please tag me into it. Please
Oh my
tag me.
God. And I'm not going to wear anything stupid, but I would dance and do. Hey, I'm groovy, I'm young, I'm cool, and see how the ridiculousness of me doing that would get either hate mail or laughter.
Yeah. Great. And last but not least, what's an interesting or fun fact about you that most people don't know?
Fun fact. Well, let's just say a fact that has contributed greatly to my success. I'm a 6th-degree black belt in Taekwondo, and that has shaped who I am in life. And it's not resting on my laurels of only having one black belt. I have 3, also in Kyokushin karate and Hapkido. So I believe in being totally immersed in my craft and skill.
That is awesome. So next time we go for a drink, I will take you with me if anybody mess with me.
Oh gosh. I'll use words today to push people away.
Great, Mitch. Thank you so much for joining me and sharing your story, unpacking the last years of building this, business and some of the ups and downs along. If people want to check out your website, if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do it?
Getinterviewedguaranteed.com/meet with Mitch. Set up a 30-minute appointment. It's offered to your guests where we can do an assessment. If you want guaranteed television in the Las Vegas market, doesn't matter. All my clients are outside of the Las Vegas area, but it's a great testing ground. Getinterviewedguaranteed.com/meet with Mitch.
Got it. Mitch, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your inspiring journey and impactful work you're doing. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on Founders Podcast.
Thank you so much, Ash.
Thank you all for tuning into this episode of Founders Podcast. I hope you found our conversation with Mitch insightful and inspiring. Don't forget to go to getinterviewedguaranteed.com and connect with him for a half-an-hour session. If you're a founder or an industry expert interested in sharing your story on our podcast, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Stay inspired, stay motivated, and keep building.